Yesterday, I made a video in regards to the Justice League talking about whether or not it's going to be something great or something abysmal and shit, kind of like Suicide Squad. Because unfortunately, as much as people would like to argue and say that that movie is great, it was fucking terrible. Every single aspect of that movie was just bad. And that is the movie that actually diminished my faith in giving a shit about what's going to happen in the future of the DCEU. Which is sad, it's unfortunate, because considering Jared Leto's response to what they did with the Joker in the editing process, really makes me think that the movie could have been something very different compared to what we actually got. I want to believe that. I want the DCEU to go somewhere. I want them to present something to me and everyone else that makes me want to see the next movie, and the next movie, and the next movie. And it really makes me invested with what could be coming up next, story-wise. Are we going to be interested in seeing more than just the two characters that most people seem to be on board with, The Flash and Aquaman, in future movies? Considering the news that we were given in regards to Ben Affleck's response when he said he didn't want to be the Batman and he didn't want to direct the Batman either. Now, I know that people are going to argue and say, yes, but you can't, you know, act in a movie and direct a film at the same time. It's quite difficult. There's a lot of things to have to juggle, and I agree with that. I'm totally on board with that, that's fine. But the fact that he was questioning whether or not he even wanted to be Batman anymore, that in itself makes me question my emotions. Having them balanced pretty much on a tightrope. Should I give a shit about falling, or should I persevere onwards to the next movie? Should I give a shit about these characters? Should I really invest time in these movies? Give me a reason. And then we got one today. Yes, the almighty Joss Whedon has been potentially given the opportunity to write, direct, and produce Batgirl. This is almost like a godsend in a way, because he's made some fantastic stuff in the past. He's made Much Ado About Nothing, Buffy, Dollhouse, Firefly, Serenity, Cabin in the Woods, The Avengers. Yes, I know, he's also made a Marvel property movie. And how did that turn out? This is about the perfect moment when the DC fanboys of the world need to get over their shit and realize that this is a fantastic move on Warner Brothers' part. Joss Whedon has fantastic writing skills, comedy skills, arcs that he can create within certain characters. Buffy is a great example of this, and so is Serenity and Firefly. Like, these movies and TV shows are something, maybe besides Dollhouse, it kind of really didn't get the chance to flesh out certain characters, and he didn't get the chance to, you know, tell the story that he really wanted to tell. But Serenity, if you haven't seen Serenity, get on board with that shit, check it out, it's a great movie from a great TV series. I can't really call it a series, it really only lasted one season. Cabin in the Woods, that is a great example of how to balance horror and comedy and mesh it together with, like, stereotypes of all kinds. It was just amazing, that film. Like, when you start watching it, you're like, this is so generic, it's so boring, I've seen it everywhere. But then when you get to the end of the film, you're like, wow, okay. I kinda didn't see that coming. Again, you could probably argue that conspiracy theorists probably saw that ending coming much quicker than your average viewer. Like myself, I saw the ending coming, but still, it didn't ruin it for me. I still thought it was fucking amazing. Genius, if anything, actually. Yes, I am a fanboy of Joss Whedon, get over it. He makes great stuff. He's a great storyteller, but that's only if he gets full creative control. We're not obviously 100% creative control. Actually, I'll probably go to the lengths of saying that if he was given like 90% creative control of anything that he's making, if that TV show or that movie failed, most of that weight would go on his shoulders, because unfortunately, as much as we want to always say that it's the film studio's fault, it isn't always. It can sometimes be the actors themselves. It can sometimes be the time constraints that they've been given. It can sometimes be the budget. Sometimes people work better behind a green screen. Sometimes people work better in an actual set. Sometimes people work better on location at an actual place in real life. All of these various factors that could potentially have a weaker point within the movie or weaker points within the movie can't all be weighed down on the director or the writer or the producer fully. You just can't do that. And I think the biggest point that's going to be brought up unanimously is, what reiteration of Batgirl are we going to get? Are we going to get Barbara Gordon? Are we going to get the newer version of Batgirl? Like, is it going to be dark and brooding like we're used to with the DCEU? Or is it going to be something that Joss Whedon is going to recreate for the DCEU? Is this something that could be new? Because Batgirl hasn't been introduced yet. So he can pretty much build the framework himself. If Batgirl is going to be introduced into the DCEU and potentially become a part of, you know, the Justice League or whatever, you know, that they decide to do in the future, the writing of Batgirl is going to ultimately determine whether or not this is a character people are going to follow and give a shit about in the future. So it will be interesting to see what Joss Whedon can do with this character, with the atmosphere of the film itself, with the storytelling and all that other good stuff. Like, there's lots of stuff that you could say about Joss Whedon, like what happened behind the scenes of Age of Ultron. From what I've heard, it was mostly the studio forcing him to add scenes into the movie that he didn't want there, like the tub scene with Chris Hemsworth. He didn't want that scene in the movie at all. He was unsure on whether or not the studio was going to allow him to keep Quicksilver killed off within the movie, so he wrote 2 different versions of how that movie was going to turn out, you know? Like, I can say that I'm legitimately excited because Joss Whedon's name has been attached to this film. I can't say that I've been all that excited for the previous ones ever since Batman v Superman. It kind of just dulled it down for me a little bit how it turned out. But that's enough about my ramblings. What do you guys think about this story? Are you guys excited? Do you guys give a shit? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys haven't liked the video, then please do so. If you haven't subscribed, then please do so. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day, and until next time, peace! Blah, 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 blah.